If your business runs on memory and your availability and constant presence is required, I have something to share with you today that I believe will be useful. Let's start with a few questions. What happens when you get sick? And getting sick could be anywhere from just a few days of needing time off work. Now, life is life, right? And sometimes we get sick and have to be away from what it is we do. Or what happens when you all of a sudden need to travel, right? And traveling could also be anywhere from just a few days, or it could be something as extreme as you need to move countries, right? An opportunity has come up. You've created this business in one country, but something has come up in another and you have to up and leave. What happens to this business? That depends on your constant presence. And sometimes you just want time off. So what happens when you want to take some proper time off? You may love what you do and haven't really paused to think about the fact that times will come when you really just need to take time off from work, right? So what happens in situations like that? Now, I know you've asked yourself these questions that we're here to solve. Today, there's no fluff and there's no motivation, right? We're just here to do some learning. What I'm trying to share with you today is, so what we know is that creative businesses tend to fail from weak infrastructure and not weak talent. The true framework, which is what I'm about to share with you, what it does is it rebuilds the foundation from the ground up. And there's no templates or hacks, right? Just a process that I want you to follow. And to be honest, right, this framework can be used in life generally. So don't look at it only from the point of view of what I'm going to talk about. Look at it as something you can use whatever the situation is, whether it's for work, whether it's for your business, or whether it's for a life issue that you just want to address, right? Use this framework and see what happens. Starting here, it's called TRUE. Starting with T for true identity. Now, at this stage, you want to define your business or whatever the issue you're addressing is beyond how things look. Now, most founders know their aesthetics, but not their operations. You're able to describe them from the outside. That make those things work or what people see are usually not things people are able to describe very well. So what we're looking at here is the deeper things, right? And sometimes we don't even focus on trying to understand the deeper things. You know, we're so focused on what's on the outside and what we're trying to put out or project. So how you can begin to do this is by answering questions. You can ask questions about what you're selling. You can ask who makes the decisions. And you can ask what process is your own. Now, what happens without your true identity and taking ownership of how things were? You have nothing to build on. So consider it foundational things, right? Okay, I'll give an example. It's like a designer saying that her brand is luxury African fashion. She has no real model that she's put in place for her production. She doesn't have a customer promise. And all the things that, you know, are things you should have done or thought about foundationally, right? Once things are defined, infrastructure becomes possible. Now, your brand identity is how you look. Your true identity is how you operate. You need both, but only one lets you scale. Now, the second part of our framework is R for reimagine. So R for reimagine. This is where we rethink everything that needs to change. It's where we clarify the vision, we connect to the reason behind why we started what we're doing. And on top of that, very importantly, to believe that it's even possible to shift or move forward or make whatever change is required. Because a lot of businesses run on broken systems. You know, where we say, oh, we've always done this. Does that sound familiar? If it's not working, then things need to change, right? And for you to change anything, you have to believe that it's possible. You'll need to admit what's draining you or the business. What's blocking you from scaling. Yeah, and you need to also admit what exists because you never questioned them. Just imagine what can exist when you decide to admit and see things clearly. Let's use an example with, for instance, your communication with your vendors, right? You can build guidelines for someone else to follow, right? You'd be surprised how much time you get back from just trying to, take the things that you do all the time, put it down and transfer it somewhere, right? Or give it to someone else, or even for you coming back to it to do it. That process, following it, is easier than where you are trying to have a new conversation every time, right? So a reference, build guidelines, right? That way you'll get hours back in your week to be able to do more things or other important things. So reimagine is not more work. It's just different work. It's the kind that frees you. So reimagine. After reimagining and admitting and seeing the things that are broken, the next stage represents where we need to do certain things to get to that goal, to upgrade or fix the situation. So is it documentation? You need to build frameworks. You need to build workflows or guidelines, templates, whatever it is. And what we can do here to simplify things is start with what gets repeated most, right? Maybe it's in your production. Maybe you need to create something that systemizes your quality control, right? So whatever that thing is that is repeatable, you start there. You create something that supports that as a process, as opposed to starting all over again or telling people over again. Your team needs documentation to execute. Now, there's this designer who launched 3 collections a year with no process. So, of course, every launch was chaos. So we built a production playbook, and this smoothened her process. Now, upgrade takes time. This stage is where you have to watch and be patient and see that the things you've put in place are going to stick, right? It takes time. But every process you document is one less decision you make. And that's how you buy your time back. So the last stage to our E stands for evolve and empower. They're my 2 favorite words, and I couldn't pick one. So evolve and empower. Now, once you've built this whole thing or rebuilt it and put the things in place required, once you've built, things don't stop. The business grows with you. So what happens here is to consider that the things are going to grow, things are going to evolve. And when your team have the tools and the authority, capability grows. Strong infrastructure creates strong teams. So the idea is that as the business evolves, you are also empowering. I mean, think about it. When a founder goes from micromanaging to leading, you only have to participate when you want to, and your revenue continues to grow. And the truth is, if we think about it, it will grow better and stress will drop. Infrastructure that evolves lasts. Businesses that empower teams build legacy. So I've introduced you to True. The True framework should make this feel doable, right? Not overwhelming. Now, True is not hard, it's intentional. So I'm going to summarize this. True identity is knowing what you are building. Reimagine is where you audit what is broken and believe it's impossible to fix. Now, upgrade is where you document and you systemize. Evolve and empower is where you build for growth and leadership. Now, you started this business to create something worth building. So I hope you've learned something today that will hopefully help you through whatever it is you're trying to address. See you later.